It's bacon time. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Aaron Ludwig. Aaron, they call me Bacon Ludwig, and you are watching this week's episode of Dads with Bacon Talking Sports for April 11th, 2024, the first day of the Masters. And we said goodbye to O.J. Simpson today, so we might, touch on that a little bit at the end of the show. But everyone want to say welcome to everybody. We're going to get right to it now because we're starting a couple minutes late. We have a couple new people joining us today, and old faces will be joining us a little bit later. There are a couple of them running behind, but we're going to bring on each one at a time. We have James. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great.
Good to have you on. We're gonna he's in his Predators uniform that he got a steal on at a rummage sale. So maybe you could rerun that story there when we get to our NHL playoff preview in a couple minutes. Let's see. Devin, how's it going, bud?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. And Devin is joining us from about 45 minutes south of where I am, and something like that. So Devin's a huge, follows all sports, but I would definitely wanted him on to talk about some NHL playoffs. So thanks for joining us. We'll have Brandon. Brandon's representing the Blackhawks and coming to us from the Windy City. You can catch him and his partner Fitz on Windy City Sports Talk on Monday night. So how's it going, bud?
Good, man. Good to be here with I don't know why you would bring a Predator fan and an Avalanche fan into the room, but hey, we'll pretend like it's 2010 through 2015 and we'll just whoop their ass while they're here.
I mean, we're talking to the guy, what was it, the 2017 playoffs when you guys were swept in the first round?
Well, I don't recall that. I'm sorry. I don't remember that.
And last but not least, and I think, you're the last one to join. I was thinking we were waiting for one more, but Ben is fresh. You look like you came out of the rain.
Look, I had a nice, good sweat put on today. Got some good workout in, and I'm ready to go carry Brandon's sorry ass all over tonight. So we'll take care of that the rest of the way.
I was gonna say sweating. What were you like? Watching some old Packers films, getting your wrist action in, or what?
Taking care of the old lady, but I only got one. We're good there.
Okay.
Off to a great start, Bacon. Off to a great start.
I know. I've lost. It's derailed. It's derailed already.
You brought a Bears fan on. You expect a little bit. The Cubs Bears thing. He has no class. He's just going to be that 6-star loser we all need to look at. Okay.
Wow. This is great. This is
great.
I don't even have to say a thing. We're just going to dog Chicago the whole time. I love this.
In all seriousness, guys, Brandon is a legitimate, good source of information. He's a smart guy, but I got to throw my licks where I can because who likes Chicago besides him? I mean, let's be honest. Screw Chicago.
About 3 million people that live in the city.
They don't like it. Half of them. Don't kid yourself.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't like it half the time.
There we go. Anyway, go in the hockey conversation, Aaron. Let's go, Caps. I'm here to represent our barely alive playoff hopes. The Predators, have our Milwaukee connection here with the Admirals. They're my local team. I was in Mississippi, but I am actually an Avalanche fan originally, but a Capitals fan first and foremost. So. Here we go.
God, now man, you're just an asshole all the way around.
Dude, I'm a sports whore. We know this. This is year-old information. I'm a sports.
He's like, I like the Yankees. I like the.
No matter what, he's having fun. That's what he's trying to say.
Any team that was winning from 1999 to 2008, I love.
Huge Pats fan in the early 2000s. Huge Pats fan.
I'll give him the Admirals because I do like the Admirals, them being the minor league affiliate to the Predators. They've actually done well this year. I don't get to watch them because it doesn't come on TV here. I'm not streaming it. But.
Hey, University of Chicago swept that doubleheader yesterday, just so you know.
Oh, look, they had an amazing win streak going for a long time. It's great to see. So enjoyed immensely.
Nice. All right, so let's get right into it, guys. And
Sorry, Brandon.
First topic we're going to be talking about is college basketball. We're going to talk about a little recap of the college basketball, both the men's and the women's championship game. Let's talk first about the women's game, which now I haven't seen the ratings for the men's game, but I got to tell you, I was really damn impressed with that. I mean, 18.7 rating for the women, or 18.7 million for the women, with a peak of like 24 million. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So, Devin, why don't we start out with you? What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, I think it's amazing that so many people thought Iowa was just going to be this bandwagon team, right? Like Caitlin Clark stole the show, rightfully so, but South Carolina was a workhorse and a powerhouse all season. They're undefeated, and it's almost like all of the sports world got captivated by Caitlin Clark that they forgot about this freight train on the other side of the bracket coming through. So they just got beat. They're a better team. Caitlin Clark was Iowa, and Iowa was Caitlin Clark, right? They're hanging 22 in the rafters, I saw. She's an incredible talent. She's one of the best, if not the best scorer in NCAA women's history. But they got beat by a better team. That's all it is South Carolina was a better team all around. They had better size inside. Once you took Caitlin Clark off the map, and she was all tournament long, she had a pretty slow start to the game. She was pretty slow to enter in the games, minus the Final Four against LSU, where she shot out of a cannon in the first half. But South Carolina is a better team, point and blank.
Yeah, and I think she even made that comment in the post game. I mean, she just was kind of like, my God, they're a good team. It was repeating some of the rebounding stat. I think they almost doubled up Iowa's rebounding, and I mean, yeah, they're just a tough team. James, did you get a chance to catch a lot of the women's game?
I did, and I will say, like, the end of the final, I was, no offense to anybody, I was actually glad at the end of the championship game because I root for two colleges when it comes to college sports. I root for Tennessee State University, the school that I went to, and I root for LSU. So watching Iowa win would have kind of hurt me, especially given the Elite Eight game. However, back to what is it Devin? Is your name Devin?
Yep.
Yeah, back to what Devin was saying. Yeah, Iowa literally they ran into arguably the best team at the worst time, which is the championship game. South Carolina dominated on rebounds the entire time, and that's what size gets you. And the Caitlin Clark, who again is a fantastic player, I gotta give credit to Dawn Staley for making the adjustment she did, because Caitlin Clark went off for 18 points in the first quarter, and Dawn Staley was like, okay, enough of this. Raven, guard Caitlin Clark. And Raven did an immaculate job, forced Caitlin Clark 3 for 11 from the field with 4 turnovers. Once Raven got on her, she was like locked down, was barely even a factor at that point, which forced the rest of Iowa to do something they weren't used to doing, and that was playing basketball without the help of Caitlin Clark. And that was not a good formula for a win. And so South Carolina, they went undefeated the entire season for a reason. Dawn Staley's a great coach. They had the talent, they had the size, and it all just came together for them.
Ben, how about you? Did you get a chance to watch the game?
I did, yeah. Look, it's hard to avoid the reality. Caitlin Clark is an amazing scorer. She is a great personality. She's someone that's likable. She's really a really decent person. I can get behind that. But I think that the guys hit it in the head. When you're looking at this, Cardoso took that game over. Nobody was rebounding in her lane. She had that game just by the throat right away, and Iowa had no response. So I think overall, again, I'm happy for the ratings in the game. I'm happy that there's personalities to watch. We talked about a few weeks ago on this show as well. There's pieces that maybe a little rub the old guard the wrong way, but it's got our eyes on it, and we are an indicator. In reality, the sports watching live demographic, you're looking at them right here on our screen. And I don't know all of your ages, but let's go ahead and say that 28 to 45-year-old male,
26.
We're going to have the disposable income. We're going to have the desire to watch sports because we still value live sports that we didn't grow up with it always being available. I think a kid hardly watch a game. He's too spoiled with it now. But anyway, it's not our side topic. No, look, I'm thrilled for it, and I hope it brings about more for them with the WNBA, and hopefully can continue to build better basketball all the way around. On a side topic to that, Stanford's coach retiring. Here in Green Bay, we have UWGB, which is a mid-major powerhouse in women's basketball. So Borset's walking away as well.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of turnover here. New coach in Tennessee. So all in all, a lot of change here, but a lot of great things to see in women's basketball.
Yeah, Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, man, I thought it was a great game. I agree with Devin. I think everybody was so into watching Caitlin Clark, and rightfully so, that they forgot about the job that Dawn Staley has done over there at South Carolina. 109-3 in the last 3 seasons. I mean, that's insanity. Dawn Staley's done a great job over there at South Carolina. A lot of those things were happening. My focus though was on the broadcast at the time on ESPN, listening to, Diana Taurasi tear down Caitlin Clark. I was like, what? She's like, oh, well, maybe you can do this against 18-year-olds, but what can you do in the WNBA? Well, Diana, she's doing the same thing in college you were doing against 18-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're playing right now. So do I know whether or not her game's going to translate into WNBA? No, I don't. But I can tell you this: not even Diana Taurasi had me as excited about women's basketball as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and Camila Cardosa have me excited about. Yeah, I like Rakea Jackson as well. Aaliyah Edwards. All of these girls have me excited. You know what I did this weekend? I looked at a WNBA mock draft. I didn't even know they did WNBA mock drafts, but I looked at one this weekend, and I was excited because the Chicago Sky are projected to pick Angel Reese at number 8, and I love that.
Is it okay if I interject after you're done talking? I wanted to bring up something.
No, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so when you were talking about Diana Taurasi, Diana Taurasi, I don't know where I got Daniel from. Diana Taurasi tearing down Caitlin Clark. Now, this is coming from someone that actually does watch the WNBA. I'm a Connecticut Sun fan. Don't ask any questions. Okay. It's not uncommon. And unfortunately, Caitlin Clark was a recipient of one of these situations. It is not uncommon for WNBA stars, past and present, to tear down newcomers coming in. It's like they get this weird welcome to the league in the worst way from veterans and all-stars who have left the game. Like, they have a hard time accepting new players coming in until they've earned their medal in the league. And I understand it's probably a bit disrespectful, and it comes off on the wrong way if you actually are trying to get people to support the WNBA. But what happened to Caitlin Clark, and it's probably going to happen to Angel Reese and Cameron Brink, is not uncommon for any new woman that comes into the WNBA.
Yeah, and look, we can sit here and say, and it's not every woman, but a vast majority of women hate other women. I mean, it's just the way that they are. I mean, how many times are you with, your girlfriend or your wife or something, and they walk into a room and this beautiful woman, other beautiful woman walks into the room and they give them a dirty look, or they're just like, oh, this bitch. Like, they're not, they don't sit there and be like, wow, she's really stunning, or wow, she's really beautiful, and just give her the compliment that is due. They like to break down other. It's just kind of in their nature, and it's not all women. I understand that. Don't come at me. Don't blow
it's
up
too
my
late,
name.
brother. You're screwed now.
Don't blow up my Twitter, my Gmail. Look, you can hit me up anytime you want. BenCatalano@gmail.com. Hit me up anytime. But no, it's just kind of the way that it is. I mean, that's why you don't see a whole lot of women that have groups of female friends. A lot of the women that I know have a majority of male friends because they don't get along with other women. It's just the way that they are. So when you're hearing this about Diana Taurasi, to me it was disappointing because I love Diana Taurasi. I loved watching her at UConn. I loved watching her in the WNBA. I loved how she plays the game and how pure she is with it and how good she was. But what she did to Caitlin Clark and for a lot of people to really jump on board with it afterwards, I was just like, wow. I said, this is absolute insanity, because you are about to blow this sport up. You are going to see more people paying attention to the WNBA than ever before. 18 million people watched the women's college tournament championship. That it outdrew the men's college championship.
Yeah.
Like that's how important it was. And again, Dawn Staley, phenomenal job. Hats off to Dawn Staley and the job that she did in South Carolina. She was a phenomenal player. She's a phenomenal coach. She's going to do great things at South Carolina. And I saw, Wayne G's comment earlier where he says he's sick of undefeated teams in women's college basketball, but you're going to see it a lot more as long as Dawn Staley's a coach over at South Carolina, because she does a tremendous job.
He also said he wants to see the one and done culture infiltrate women's hoops, which
problem is they're making more in college than they are in the WNBA.
Well, exactly. So why the hell would you want to leave? Yeah.
Well, the reason why they're making more is because of comments like Diana Taurasi. You get a lot of the fans out there. Yep. I've had an argument with one of my friends who's all, pro women's rights, and I'm with her. Like I agree with a lot of the stuff that she says, but sometimes she's just like, oh, the women's game, the WNBA, they should be paid just as much as the men's. I said, oh, really? I know you're a big basketball fan. I know you have a couple Celtics jerseys. How many WNBA jerseys do you own? She's like, none. Well, okay, then you're not even supposed. How can they make more money? And when you're breaking it down like Diana Taurasi was, it's going to be hard for people to get excited about it.
But I will add this, not to cut you off there, but I will add this. She's actually exaggerating the excitement, though, right? She's creating a storyline by running her mouth against Caitlin Clark, right? So now, eventually, when that matchup happens and she starts coming in, right? Like Caitlin Clark's going to draw a bigger crowd now because now she's been painted as the villain, right? So. I mean, I do got to give Taurasi some credit. She's creating storylines for sports media, and that's kind of what her job was right. Like, let's get us talking about it. But yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark she was the epicenter of women's sports. I mean, really all of sports media. She took over the planet for a good 2-week run, right? Through the Elite Eight all the way through the final. But anybody that thought
even before that, Devin, I mean, you could say, back when she was breaking setting the scoring record, I mean, she was already, they were setting records for viewership in those games. So here, let's move. Oh, go ahead, Devin. Finish.
I was just saying, even go further back to last year's national championship between LSU and that game was insane too. So yeah, it's good stuff for women's sports. It should be fun to watch it progress.
For sure. Okay, so let's go on to the men's game then. We got UConn winning their second in a row, and my God, they're tough. I mean, I watched them a few times when they played Marquette this year, and they're just so. First of all, Devin, I'll start with you again. What were your thoughts on that game? And then I want to ask you also. I'll ask all of you guys: Is Dan Hurley right now the best coach in men's basketball? So go ahead, Devin. Start off with your thoughts on the game.
So. It's going to sound super cheesy, but it's almost the exact same storyline as the other side, like for women's sports, right? Like Edie took over the world, right? Everybody saw this monster and their sports centers playing highlights of this 7'4" monster. And then there was the random college videos where he's taking chicks into his bedroom. And like he was the storyline of the entire tournament. And then everyone kind of forgot about UConn because they're blowing teams out by 20. Like they just weren't entertaining to watch. They're just crushing people. So, I think it's the exact same story. They took Edie out of the game. They forced everyone else to shoot. They made one 3-pointer the entire game. Yeah. One. Like it's almost like UConn dared Purdue to just, all right, figure out a way to beat us if we take this guy out, right? And they couldn't. So, yeah, it's a very eerily similar scenario, I think, to the women's side where you just had one powerhouse coming for it and the storylines were on one singular player from the other side and the Cinderella story ended.
James, how about you? What were your thoughts on that game?
I will say at the beginning of the season, if you had told me it's going to be UConn versus Purdue in the national championship, I would have laughed at Purdue. UConn, I could totally see, and it's no surprise they won the championship. And going back to what Devin said, this is like when he brought up Purdue like storylines, and I'm not trying to go back into women's basketball. I'm going to make a quick anecdote here. What Purdue did this season reminds me of the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA a couple years ago. I forget the exact year when they made the finals against the Washington Mystics, which ended up losing the series. But at the beginning of that season, all the analysts just said Connecticut has no chance of making the playoffs and definitely not the championship. This team was a bunch of role players. That's all they have are role players, no superstars. And actually, Connecticut made that their hashtag for the year. We are role players all the way to the finals. And it was funny, and that was kind of what basically happened to Purdue. Like, I'm not saying they didn't have any superstars, but they were a team that was basically built off of people that just had a role to play. And they got all the way to the championship. And unfortunately, role players weren't good enough to compete with UConn.
Yeah. Okay. So Ben, how about you?
Well, the first half was a great game. Watching that game, Edie had a lot going on there. They kind of let him have a little bit here and there. It was more of a back and forth, right? It wasn't more than a 5-point difference in that first half. But that second half, I mean, it was over by 10 minutes left. I literally left my buddy's house and came home to go to bed because I'm an old man. Again, see past history, I fall asleep early. But anyway, I mean, all that said, the game, UConn just couldn't miss. I mean, it reminded me of a Team Cleveland in the Michigan State run when they beat Wisconsin in the Final Four and broke my heart, of course. But even beyond that, the guy still, I think, he did nothing in the NBA, but he's just that guy that had that amazing tournament run. You can't hardly forget the man. But it's similar to that, or even Steph Curry at Davidson, when we were looking at those guys just hitting shots in the tournament, you just couldn't look away. But the difference here was it wasn't that one player, like you guys highlighted already. It was a team coming out there, and everyone stepped up when they had the chance. And, UConn won. I don't think Dan Hurley's the best coach, by the way. I can't stand that man. It's
that was going to be my next question. I mean, does he rub you the wrong way? Because you hear, listening to sometimes I try to catch is it Around the Horn on ESPN, and of course you never know with the national media if they're going to love somebody or if they're going to hate somebody. Like one guy is eccentric and they hate him, like Aaron Rodgers, and then the next guy is eccentric or a little fiery and they just love him. And of course Dan Hurley, they were just gushing over the guy like you wouldn't believe. I kind of was watching the game, like especially when there was one point where I think he even kind of walked on the court and pushed one of his players like to get him going or something. I think he did possibly get teed up. I didn't have the sound on. I was watching it without the sound, but Brandon, what were your thoughts on the game and what do you think of Hurley?
Yeah, I think that UConn's defensive game plan was genius. I mean, absolutely genius. They just stopped them from beyond the arc and they let Zach Edey eat. That's all they did. All right, go ahead, Zach Edey. Everybody else is going to have to beat us. You're either that or you're going to have to score 90. Those are the only two ways that UConn's going to beat us tonight. Or I'm sorry, that Purdue's going to beat us tonight. And it was just a flawless game plan and execution too by UConn as well. Purdue was able to stay with them. They were only up by 6 at the half. And I mean, look, Purdue looked really good heading into that game too. I thought Purdue had a chance to win that thing. And, Trey Kaufman-Renn was a stud the entire weekend. Hats off to him as well. Zach Edey was Zach Edey. I mean, that guy, I don't know what people are talking about that they don't think he could play in the NBA. I absolutely think he could play in the NBA. Yeah. 10, 15 years ago, he'd have been the number 1 pick in the draft. So I think that his game can transition into the NBA. As far as Hurley goes, I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. So I'll leave that to you guys. But as far as like the men's game goes, and as far as that the tournament was, the men's tournament was not as exciting as the women's tournament.
I would agree with that. Yeah, for sure. Okay, here let's and I guess to touch on the one of the things you just mentioned, Brandon, about how they basically let Edey do whatever he wanted and just shut everybody else down. It reminded me real quick of if you ever get the chance to watch the Two Bills, it's a 30 for 30 with Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick. It's fantastic. I actually gained respect for Bill Belichick after watching that. But they were reviewing back when he was a defensive coordinator in New York. And when they played, I want to say it was Super Bowl 25, when they played Buffalo, that's the one they won 20-19. And Lawrence Taylor was talking on the show about, the strategy that they came up with to beat the Bills. And he said Belichick basically came and said, you know what, let Thurman Thomas do whatever he wants. We're just going to focus on taking out their passing game. So don't worry about Thurman Thomas. And it was kind of funny because Taylor's like, I mean, man, Thurman Thomas, he had like 7,000 yards that season. And I'm like, what are you nuts? And, but it turned out to be, the perfect strategy. And sometimes that is a perfect strategy. You're not, unless, like you said, unless Edie or whoever is going to score 90 or 100 points by themselves, sometimes, you either let their star do whatever and focus on the rest, or you focus on taking out their star, kind of like what South Carolina did with, okay, let's shut down Caitlin Clark and make everybody else beat us, and they couldn't. So, I think both games, the winning coach did a really good job of strategy there with the star players. So, all right, let's move on to the NHL playoff picture. And let's see here. I'm gonna bring it up here.
You want to start with the Chicago Blackhawks fan? See where they're at.
Funny guy. Funny guy.
We're gonna start with them in the draft, so we might as well start with them.
Hey, we'll take another lottery pick to go along with Captain Connor Bedard.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, because I will admit that much like wrestling, and Ben will attest to this, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about the NHL, especially the playoffs, the way they kind of move everything around. So we'll go through. I'm bringing up right now the updated brackets, or according to Sporting News, these are the updated brackets. Let me know.
While you're doing this,
can I just be on record saying that I do not like the NHL playoff format. I don't mind it because we're in it, but I absolutely hate it. It has its problems, and we need to go back to the original bracket.
Yep, agreed.
Very much agreed.
Okay,
I'm with
Ben,
you.
were you going to say something there, or was that Brandon that was talking?
No, I was going to mention that tonight we had, the Capitals lost to the Sabres. No one cares about that. But the Penguins and the, who was that?
Wings.
They're playing.
Red Wings.
Yeah, they just had an overtime game, 6-5 final. Penguins eke it out again. So right now the Penguins find themselves in that final playoff spot right now in the East. So Capitals a point behind with 3 games left. So watching that close. Also have Montreal and the Islanders on right now, and that's going to OT too in a second here. So anyway,
okay, well, here,
right now.
What we'll do is I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to bring up the NHL playoff picture, what I have.
Mm-hmm.
You guys let me know if there's any mistakes on here from the Sporting News. But so right now here in the Eastern Conference, we're looking at the Bruins versus the Lightning. Devin, why don't we start out again with you? What are your thoughts? Why don't we just do kind of a general Eastern Conference? Let's look at the Eastern Conference. What are your thoughts? Who's a team that you like the most coming out of it? Who's a team that maybe you think might make some noise or pull an upset?
God, I think everybody in the NHL world desperately wants, well, if you're a fan of good hockey, desperately wants to see the Maple Leafs actually do something for once in their entire life. But if
you watch them lose again, that's an option.
I could really care less about the Eastern Conference as an Avs fan, but I mean, it's hard to deny the Maple Leafs are one of the most talented teams in the NHL. It's just whether or not they can figure it out when it comes to the playoffs. But I mean, you have your heavy hitters. The Lightning are going to come out of nowhere. It's hilarious that they're a wild card again, but at some point that tire is going to run out of tread. I mean, Kucherov's playing at an insane amount his pace is up there, right? He's leading the league in points right now. He's not going to win the Hart because McKinnon will, but I think they have so many games on that ice in the last 4 years and those cup runs and the playoff runs. Like that tire is going to run out of tread at some point. I personally really like the Hurricanes or the Rangers coming out of the Metro. The Rangers are super deep, super, super deep, and they play really, really well as a team. They also have one of the best goalies in the league, but that's also why Tampa with Vasilevsky won't ever be counted out. So the East is a complete dumpster fire. You could pick, from top to bottom, whoever sneaks in as that last wild card is probably going to get rocked pretty quick, I would think. Unless they can get hot. That 1 point, though, for Detroit might make a difference. Mm-hmm. There's only a couple games left. That 1 point going to overtime might make a difference on the back end of that playoff run. But I don't think really anybody in that last wild card spot, Caps, Pens, Wings, like Flyers are in free fall mode right now. Devils are too far out. Like I think most of those teams are probably going to be either a one and done or maybe get lucky and get bounced in 6. But I don't see much from the bottom half. But at the top, anywhere between 1 and 5 could be anybody. So I personally really like the Rangers. It's cliche because they're the points leader in the East, but man, that team is good.
Okay, James, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference?
Okay, so as far as the Eastern Conference goes, first off, we have 2 very great looking first round matchups when you have like the Bruins and the Lightning and the Panthers and Maple Leafs. And again, this just goes to the NHL playoff format because the Atlantic Division is so strong. So you have those top 3 Atlantic Division teams, and then the Lightning, who got the wild card, where like the Panthers and the Maple Leafs, I think, are either 3rd and 4th in the league or somewhere in the East, somewhere around there, right? The Rangers and the Capitals, I mean, the Capitals can probably make it a series, but I don't see a situation where the Rangers lose that. And the Hurricanes and Islanders just kind of exist. But like the Bruins and the Lightning, Panthers and Maple Leafs, that's a great series. I mean, it's like those 2 matchups are the sucky part of the NHL playoff format. But those are also 2 first-round matchups that everyone would like to see, even though I think most people would agree those are matchups we'd like to see in the second round or conference finals if it were to happen. But because the format, those are first-round playoff matchups. Those are 2 exciting series. The Rangers, I mean, if they lose to the Hurricanes, that's almost as laughable as when Tampa Bay got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets, honestly. And again, the Islanders just kind of exist. But the Stanley Cup is one of the hardest trophies in sports to win. And there's a reason why President's Trophy winners don't always win the cup, because hockey itself is just a hard sport to just dominate, even in a series. So we'll just have to wait for the playoffs to see how everything shakes out. But like I said, I don't see the Rangers losing to the Capitals. I don't really see the Hurricanes losing to the Islanders. I think the matchups in the Eastern Conference to see are the Bruins and Lightning and the Panthers and Maple Leafs. But I do hope that the Maple Leafs lose again just for the memes. I love memes, okay?
They're the Cowboys of the NHL.
Oh.
Even worse, because at least the Cowboys, like the Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since the original 6 era. At least the Cowboys won something when there was like 30 or 28 teams. I'm not exactly sure, but I was born in 97. Jesus Christ.
Ben, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's right now, I'm being honest, I'm still hopeful for the Capitals, but I understand what it is. This is a team that's trying to rebuild. So overall, the Panthers are one of those teams that I can't ever look past in general. The Leafs have a lot of scoring talent, but the Leafs problem is always the Leafs problem. Inconsistent goalie play and really questionable blue liners. And so that you go through this and they never have that consistent defensive presence to stop people from scoring on them. And it costs them every single year, which is I actually do side with this. I would love to see the Leafs. If the Capitals aren't going to do it, I wouldn't mind seeing the Leafs or the Hurricanes come through all this. The Hurricanes can score, and that Hurricanes-Islanders matchup is a good one for the Hurricanes because I think that's one that the Hurricanes have a clear advantage in. And it survived in advance. That's any playoff format, really. But look, the one I want to go to here is I love watching the Bruins fail again. Last year was hilarious. I'm hoping it happens again. I would love to see the Rangers lose in their first round, but I just know it's not going to happen. So, look, this is once you're past this first round, it's going to be 7-game series to get through the semis and get through the conference finals because these are going to be absolute slobber knockers. And I'm looking forward to the new season starting here in a couple weeks. So.
Tell me you're a wrestling fan without telling me you're a wrestling fan. You just called the hockey game a slobber knocker.
It's real to me, Tim.
Brandon, how about what are your thoughts here on the Eastern Conference?
I mean, I thought we were getting on here with hockey people. I remember my first time watching hockey too. You guys are all like, "Oh, there's no way the Rangers are going to lose. There's no way that the Hurricanes are going to lose." You guys do realize that the team that ends up with the President's Cup and the team that wins their conference, typically the Bruins had the most points in the history of the NHL last year, and they lost in the first round. That's just it happens, and there is absolutely a chance that the Washington Capitals. Not that I want to give Ben any hope in anything ever, but there is a chance that the Capitals can beat the Rangers. The Capitals are a sneaky team in the playoffs. I really like Dylan Strome. Obviously, Alexander Ovechkin. You know the norms, Ovechkin and Oshie. Those guys come to play come playoff time, man. And John Carlson has had a really good year, a very high scoring defenseman. I really like the Capitals, and I might even pick them to beat the Rangers heading into the when it comes to the Stanley Cup playoffs, man, it is all about your goalie. It is all about the goalie, how hot your goalie is, how well your defense plays in front of your goalie.
Chicago knows all about that, don't they? From 2017. I'm going to keep mentioning that too.
Because it's the only argument I need, Johnny. It's the only argument you have. It's the only argument you have.
You don't think Shesterkin is a good enough goalie to carry them through the Caps?
I do, but I also I'm not saying that Shesterkin's not a good enough goalie to carry anybody through anything. But what I'm telling you is that when you're looking at, when you're going into the NHL playoffs are never a given. When you're looking at, do you not think that Charlie Lindgren's one of those guys who can stand on his head for in a series? Do you not think that he's a guy that can carry them through? I mean, he's only got is his goals against average even at 3?
I'm looking at it right now, actually.
I don't think his goals against average is even at 3. He is a very solid goaltender, and I think that they can beat the Rangers. Look, the Rangers are the Rangers. They're like the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to find a way to Ranger. So I would absolutely not sleep on the Capitals in this series. But I think it's NHL playoffs. Every series is going to be a banger. Every series is going to be fun. Every series is going to be end-to-end action. And every series is the only thing all season long that will actually take some of my attention, not all of it, but some of my attention away from my beloved baseball season. This is the only thing that I will like. If there is a baseball game on at the same time as a Stanley Cup playoff game 7 or something like that, I will absolutely go ahead and catch the hockey game. But I can't wait to watch any of this. But guys, stop sleeping on the Caps, man. They can pull this off.
Okay, Brandon, let's go on to the Western Conference. Let's start with you then, since we've been ending with you here. What are your thoughts on the Western Conference?
I don't even want to talk about the Western Conference. I'm so look. The Blackhawks are really bad. And it is what it is. We knew they were going to be bad going into the season. I didn't have any expectations. I will say that it's still been fun going to games and watching Connor Bedard, because he is one of those players that every time he touches the puck, you are on the edge of your seat watching. He is that type of player. He is the Alex Ovechkin type of player, the Patrick Kane type of player. So the Blackhawks' future does look good. So I will say that. And Predators, you guys in Nashville, go ahead and keep banning people with Illinois licenses from buying tickets, because you can't fill your stadium. So you don't want us to come over there and watch a game. Yeah, no. You want to talk about 2017? We're going to talk about how weak your ownership is, that they can't sell their own tickets, that they got to block Blackhawks fans from buying tickets to those games. But anyway,
not just Blackhawks fans, okay? It's anyone that's outside of the Tennessee area code or zip code, and it is completely exaggerated the way you're bringing it up. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so you got the so was 2017. Did you guys win the cup that year? I can't remember.
You know what? You weren't there. You weren't there. Or you got swept in the first round. Okay,
I didn't get swept. I didn't get swept. The Blackhawks got swept. I don't play for the Blackhawks. I just root for them. The Stars, Golden Knights is going to be a fun series. That's another team you've got to watch out for. If you're the Stars, you cannot sleep on the Golden Knights. I know the Golden Knights have not had the same seasons that they've had over the last couple of seasons, but the Golden Knights can absolutely sneak up on the Dallas Stars and take care of business there. The only series in this whole thing, and I don't want to give the new guy any love, but I don't think the Jets stand any chance against the Colorado Avalanche. The Colorado Avalanche are just too damn good. The Canucks will wipe away the Predators, because the Predators are the Predators. And the Oilers and Kings is going to be a fun series to watch. The Canucks and Predators, other than the St. Louis Blues, are probably the two teams I hate the most in the NHL. So I probably won't watch any of that series, to truth be told. But Oilers Kings for me is going to be a really fun one. Oilers Kings, I think, is going to be a battle, and Stars Golden Knights. I really do think that the Golden Knights can pull something off there.
Okay, Devin, how about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, let me tell you. First of all, to revisit the original conversation about goalie and save percentage, I want to bring that back up because Lindgren has 4,000th of a point lower goals against than UC Saros. So if you think the Caps can make it through the Rangers, you sure as heck better think that the Predators might have a chance then too, in that same general idea. Because
the Predators are like the St. Louis Cardinals for me. I don't care how good they are. I'm never going to pick them to win.
I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. I don't think the Preds will win either, personally, because Saros has played a lot this year. And that's where I think, obviously I want to talk about the Avalanche. They're my team, but Georgiev has played like crap lately. They got a rookie behind him, and they don't know what they're going to do going into the playoffs. I was just looking at stats a few minutes ago. He's had the second most games in the whole league. He's played 61 games, started 60 of them. It hasn't been pretty in the last month either, but the Avs are going to be tough to get out because 29's on the ice. And he is absolutely on fire right now. So, but there's question marks all over the West too, right? Like the Avs have goaltending issues. If Rantanen's not feeling healthy into that first round of the playoffs, it could be some damage control for them because Winnipeg, all it takes is Hellebuck to go bananas for one round and out goes Colorado. It happened last year when they played Seattle first round.
They're beating the Stars 2-0 right now in the third period.
That they are. I don't have scores up right now, but
yeah. I got the game on, so I'm just
But in the West, I like the Avalanche because I think they're one of the deepest teams in the West. Not just because I'm a fan. They went out and made some huge components. Some huge trades at the deadline, picking up Walker on the back end. They're a smart team. Their organization is just built very, very smart right now. Joe Sakic's done a hell of a job. Now he's stepped out. But personally, I'm terrified of the Stars. I really am. The Stars are big and physical. I don't think they're going to run through series, right? Like Vegas, to your point, Brandon, you were saying Vegas is going to be sneaky. They're there. That series is going to be an all-out brawl. They're going to bludgeon each other getting through that series. So that one's going to be fun as heck to watch. The Canucks, it's going to come down to Thatcher Demko. If Thatcher's healthy and that knee is fine, that could be good. If it's not, and they're rolling in backups, they're shallow in the crease, it's going to kill them. Yeah. And I don't care what anybody says. The Oilers, they're like the Leafs of the West, right? But man, one of these years, you got to think Draisaitl and McDavid are just going to tear it up. They tried against the Avs a couple years ago and backfired on them. But
yeah, and look, the Knights they've got two goalies that are really, really good. And if one of them struggles, they bring it. It's not like they have a guy and then they have a backup. They have two starters in Vegas for goaltenders. So. That's what I'm saying. If the Golden Knights could absolutely beat the Dallas Stars, they're probably the one team that I am most confident in as an underdog going into a series would be Vegas.
Dallas is just old too. They're a little long in the tooth, right? So that catches up with teams this time of the year. So I'm with you. I think Vegas could easily sneak that one through. It's just like I said, those teams are going to go to war. It's going to be fun to watch because that's going to be big physical hockey.
Mayhem. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, James, why don't we go to you here? Let's get your thoughts on the Western Conference.
Okay, so one of the things I want to say, first of all, I was watching a video about this a couple of days ago where I don't know if you guys follow the hockey guy on YouTube, but he made a video regarding like teams when it goes to the playoffs, like who's good versus who's hot. Like basically he was saying like when it comes to playoffs, would you root for the team? Like would you bet on the team that's been good for the entire season is kind of skating by at the end, or the team that got hot at the end and is now looking like a huge threat? And like for a lot of the Western Conference, that's like what you're dealing with. Like the Stars and the Golden Knights, I wouldn't say the Golden Knights have gotten hot because they've kind of been skating by the entire year. The Stars have been on a tear this entire season, however, and that's why they're most likely going to, win the Western Conference regular season. The Avalanche and the Jets, I'd argue the Jets have been hot to a certain point. The Avalanche have just, they've been good. I wouldn't say skating by. They've definitely been good. Now, the Predators and the Canucks, the Preds were hot for 18 games when they had that 18-game point streak, and now we've kind of fallen down to earth, even though we've clinched the playoff spot. While the Canucks, no offense to any Canucks fans, but they've also kind of been cruising at the end of the season after that hot start. And then you got the Kings and the Oilers, and the Oilers just got hot. They haven't just been good this whole season. They got hot at a certain point, which is why they are where they are. And the Kings, they've just been kind of, I don't know if you could say they've been cruising or if they got hot. I wouldn't really say they got hot because they kind of lost their place in the top. Well, they're still top 3 in the West, clearly. I just now noticed they're top 3 in the Pacific. For some reason, I thought they're a wild card. Them and the Golden Knights have been fighting for the past 2 weeks on who's – not even the past 2 weeks. They've been fighting for a while on who's going to be the third Pacific team and who's going to be the wild card. So we'll see how that shakes out. If I was to bet on the first matchup, which is Stars and Golden Knights, I would say Stars. However, like Brandon said, goalies matter, and the Golden Knights definitely have a pair of goalies that can stand on their head when needed. And the Stars are up there in age, and they're kind of in a position where they have to get it done, or as soon as it's going to be time to pay the piper. And it's never fun to pay the piper. I'm sure Blackhawks fans know that, although they did win 3 cups before it came time to pay them. So give credit where credit's due. On the Avalanche and Jets, I don't know how to process this. I don't really like the Jets. I'm not going to lie. I have a soft spot for the Avalanche. Not much of a soft spot, but my hatred for the Jets kind of balances out that soft spot for the Avalanche. So I would root for the Avalanche to beat the Jets because I do not like whatever their goalie's name is. I forgot it for a second. That's just how much I don't like them. Canucks and the Predators. As a Preds fan, I'm going to bet on and root for the Predators because I believe in speaking things into existence. And I 100% believe we're capable of beating the Canucks. UC Saros is a fantastic goalie. Absolutely fantastic. Although I have to argue on Brandon's point about how all you need is a good goalie because goalies are great. If you have a goalie that can keep the puck out of the net, that's awesome. But along with the goalie, this is something as a soccer player I have to remind people of. The ball, or in this case the puck, has to go through the entire team before it ever reaches the goalie. People have a big thing on blaming the goalie whenever shots are scored and not looking at what the defense did to set it up. Because there are some shots that are damn near impossible for a goalie to stop. It's just unnatural, okay? And when the defense lets those kind of shots get through, it doesn't make his job any easier. If you were looking at a game and a team only had 18 shots, towards the goal, and 5 of them went in, you'd be like, well, damn, the goalie just didn't have a good day. And then you look at the game and you see the shots that he faced, and it's like, well, damn, did the defense decide to come in and play? You can say they played because they only allowed 18 shots, but then you look at the shots that they allowed, and it's like, well, dang, they didn't really give him a good matchup. Kings and Oilers, I think the Oilers win that. No offense to the Kings. The Kings are a great team. Well, not great. I would say just below average, but they're good enough to make the playoffs. I don't see them or the Golden Knights falling out in favor of the Blues, but I still think the Oilers take that. And I'm going to say this last thing as a Preds fan. Like the Blackhawks, I had no expectations going to this season. We're supposed to be rebuilding, but the simple fact that Barry Trotz as general manager and Hines got us into the playoffs is magnificent. We were 8 points behind a playoff spot, I think, going to the All-Star break or a little bit earlier or later, if I'm not completely mistaken. And so for us to now be clear of the playoff line and be there, it's awesome. I'm not going to be unhappy if we don't go home without the cup. I'm not going to be unhappy if we lose in the first round. I think for us, it's a win-win either way because the worst-case scenario is we get beat in the first round and gain valuable playoff experience for a team that was not supposed to be here. And the best-case scenario is we win the whole thing, and I'm happy with either option.
Yeah, before you chime in on the Western Conference here, I just want to get Troy's because I remember talking about this a lot last year during the playoffs and about some of the hot goalies. So, Troy, goalies are great, but eventually you need goal scorers. Basically, just what James just said. So, I was a Sabres fan and watched Dominator carry his team year after every year. Just not enough to win the cup. So yeah, I mean, it's goalies, like you said, goalies are great, but eventually, it's just like in baseball, pitching. You have solid starting pitching, that's great, but eventually you got to score some runs too in order to win the game. So, all right, Ben, how about your thoughts on the Western Conference? Then we'll move on to the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it's Avalanche to me are one of those complete teams, and in the goalie conversation, I got to bring up though, Darcy Kemper won a cup with this team and can't stop a freaking hot dog right now if he had to slide across the ice to get into that goal. It's insane, but that's what it is. Lindgren saved the Capitals bacon here. But back to this though, overall to me, the Jets and the Avalanche to me is going to be one to watch the light up. It's going to be long games. The Canucks have been scary, man. Like it's just one of those feels like one of those years where I don't know, they're going to tick somebody off and then choke as they do. But my overriding thought, honestly, for the Western Conference is I feel like they're all the Dallas Cowboys, and I'll explain. If you hear the Stars, you think playoff failure. If you hear the Jets, playoff failures, Predators, unless you're the Golden Knights, who isn't in the Western Conference, also failures in the playoffs, basically. It's anyway.
The Avs just won a cup 3 years ago.
The Avs did with Darcy Kemper, I'm talking about.
Yeah. So that wasn't playoff failure. I mean, last year they ran into the buzzsaw first round of Seattle because they were playing out of their mind, but the Avs haven't had playoff failure.
No, but if you look at the conference and who's actually competitive in the conference this year, the Stars, the Jets, the Canucks, the Oilers, the Predators, they're all teams you look at and say they're going to lose in the playoffs.
Agreed.
So what I'm getting at here is that there's only a few teams that you really look at in the Western Conference with a pedigree of winning in the playoffs, which, to your point before, Brandon, makes us the NHL playoffs. It's fun because you never know who's going to win. There's going to be great matchups. You're going to see some surprises. It's not like other playoff formats where you kind of know who's going to win. There really are variables that I hate betting on because I can't call a game. But anyway.
For whatever it's worth, the Stars are 9-1 in their last 10. I mean, they're down tonight, but
right.
Yeah, they're like 50-20 in 10 this year or something like that. 50, 20, and 11. They're really good.
Yeah.
But Vegas, I'm just telling you, man. Vegas is sneaky. They're a sneaky pick.
Okay, gentlemen, let's move on to the NBA playoffs here.
What?
Yeah, I know.
People still watch basketball?
Well, okay. First of all, is there anybody here, with a show of hands, who actually likes the play-in tournament? Yeah, I wish they would do away with that stupid. I mean, I get when they instituted it because of COVID and they were in the bubble and all that stuff, and that's fine. But just because you institute something, doesn't mean you have to continue to keep it. And
the Lakers already raised their banner this year, so
yeah. So okay, let's look at the Eastern Conference real quick. I mean the Boston Celtics 13.5 games in front of the Bucks, who are the second place team. But I mean, when you start with the Bucks, you look at, and I believe, let's see, so 7 through 10 are in the play-in. So as of right now, you're looking at the Sixers versus the Heat, the Bulls versus the Hawks for the play-in, and then but you still have, I think the Bucks have to win one of the last two in order to secure the number 2 spot. But I got to be honest with you, I'm just going to give my opinion here real quick. The Eastern Conference, and I mean, this isn't anything new, has been, to me, by far the weaker conference over the last number of years. And the Celtics, I think, are the only team I can actually see having a legitimate shot at winning the title. As a Bucks fan, it hurts me to say that. But, I just, the way the Bucks are playing right now, kind of reminded me of the Badgers near the end of the year. I mean, they had a great run in there in the Big Ten tournament, but then they
don't remind you of the Packers every time they get to the NFC title game.
Hey, whoa!
Hey, at least
whoa.
we get there.
Exactly. All right, Devin, why don't you start? Give me your thoughts on the Eastern Conference.
I think it's the Celtics for sure. I don't think the Bucks make a run at this. I think they're kind of a wounded duck right now. Giannis is banged up now. This whole Achilles strain that's going to linger. I don't care what anyone says, as minor as it's possible. It's still going to hurt long term. But the team that I would be terrified of if I'm the Eastern Conference is Philadelphia. Nick Nurse with a healthy Joel Embiid, who's fresh, who hasn't played the second half of the season, that team could get dangerous. But it is the 76ers, and it's Philadelphia and Philadelphia basketball, right? So, they haven't done much. So I think that's really a two-horse race out of the East. It's either the Celtics somehow, for some crazy reason, the Bucks click it together. They might be able to push. They've got the talent to do it, but they're just dysfunctional. The team is just all automatic. I will go down swinging. The change to Doc Rivers is the worst move that franchise could have done. I don't understand the infatuation with Doc Rivers. I mean, yeah, he won a championship 30 years ago with the Celtics in the Big Three. Come on. I think we're chasing a pipe dream bringing him back, but I would be real nervous if I'm facing the 76ers anywhere in this playoffs. So I think Celtics are the obvious choice. Basketball is a little bit more predictable, I think, than most sports. So I would just your gut tells you the Celtics.
Can you imagine though, as Bucks fans, if the Sixers do go on a run, and let's say they end up getting all the way to the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe they lose to the Celtics, can you imagine the uproar from Bucks fans thinking that Nick Nurse, I mean, he could have been the Bucks coach very easily. I'm sure he would have gone to the Bucks before he went to the Sixers if given the option. And we just kind of helped him out with that. But James, how about you? What are your thoughts on the Eastern Conference playoffs?
Well, see, I'm actually a Celtics fan, so I do like the respect that was being shown in the chat right there.
Oh my gosh.
No. So funny enough, I do like how everyone is saying the Celtics are the obvious favorite, and I not just bias aside, I also agree that was probably some bias in there too. If I was to be scared of any team in the early, throughout the playoffs, I'd probably say it would be between the Knicks and the 76ers. And I'm not disrespecting the Bucks, but I mean they have had they did go on a rough patch, even though they did find their mojo, I guess you can say, for the last two games. However, not having Giannis, I mean, they're going to have him for the playoffs, ideally, but it's is he going to be able to hold up off that injury? Because great news, it was not an Achilles tear, which was what everyone was scared of. But nonetheless, that doesn't mean he's going to come back at 100%. So I think that's their biggest question right now. If he comes back at 100%, I 100% believe it's going to be Celtics and Bucks in Eastern Conference Finals. However, if he doesn't, I mean, it could be shades of last year. And I hate to see that, because I hate anyone not being able to play at their best because of injury, and I hate seeing people miss games because of injury.
To touch on what. Let me just real quick, James, to touch on what you're saying though. My wife and I took our daughter to the Lakers game against the Bucks a couple weeks ago for her birthday, and so I got to witness firsthand the 18-point, them blowing an 18-point lead to a team that didn't have their star player in LeBron James, and they were healthy. I mean, so I guess I would argue a little bit that I feel like right now, Damian Lillard is, without Giannis in there, is doing what they brought him to do, which was to lead this team, or to help lead this team at least. And with Giannis in there, I almost feel like he defers to Giannis when, frankly, I'd rather see Dame take over near the end of games, especially if it's close, because he can at least hit his free throws and he can score. Whereas Giannis, just I don't know what it is about Giannis. But anyway, you go ahead and finish. I interrupt you. So you were talking about the Heat.
Oh, yeah. The Heat is a team that is, dangerous to look past, given what they've done the last 3 years, I'd say. Even though they're in a play-in spot. But for some reason, Jimmy Butler, when it comes to the playoffs, he turns into Hemi buckets, and he's the most unstoppable player in the world. I don't until the finals, of course. I don't understand where the heck that comes from. And your point on, whether they can play without Giannis at 100% in the playoffs. I mean, you don't need an all-star to win a game per se. However, I do think Giannis adds another dimension. And playoff basketball is a time when the referees tend to swallow their whistles and let a lot more incidental contact than that they probably call in the regular season. They let a lot of stuff slide in the playoffs, and it helps to be a bit more physical. And Giannis definitely adds that physicality aspect. He's a Greek giant, barrels into the paint, and it's dang near hard to stop him. So without Giannis, I question their ability to, without Giannis 100%, I should say, because he's going to be there. I would question their ability to make it through the playoffs, although it's not definite. Anything's possible, like Kevin Garnett once said. But I'd have a hard time seeing a place where the Celtics aren't in the Eastern Conference Finals and not representing the East in the finals.
Okay, Ben, how about you?
Well, looking at Celtics are the best team in the Eastern Conference this year. We know this. The Bucks had to get Patrick Beverley, of all people, to get our guards to actually defend other team scores. I wish I could add more to the conversation. I really can't, because the Celtics look like the best team here. My only one I'll say is look out for the Cavaliers. They've been there all year, and they've fallen off a little bit of late, but they've been that team that's been winning games they shouldn't win. So I'm just kind of hesitant with that team right now. But, yeah, I mean, the Sixers have the talent, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So, I don't know. Celtics, here we go, I guess.
Brandon, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, it really is going to be hard to go against the Celtics. Really going to be hard to go against seeing them against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I just think that those are the two best teams. Now, I would have thought maybe I could possibly give a glimmer of hope to the New York Knicks, but as soon as they lost Randall, they've got no shot. I don't think anyway. Maybe they pull something out of their behinds. To me, the Boston Celtics are the best team in basketball. I don't think anybody's touching them in the playoffs. I think they are going to run roughshod over everybody. And even when it comes to the finals, whoever comes out of the West, most likely the Denver Nuggets again. I don't see anybody beating Boston. They've been that team all year. They are ridiculously good, and they're deep. They are so deep. It's not even just their starting five. They've got points coming off the bench in droves. Their defense is solid. It's for me. There's just nothing to add to this. It's Boston.
Well, then how about we'll start with you then, Brandon. Bring it back for the Western Conference. You got obviously much deeper as they've been for the last few years. You got Denver. I mean, I always get a kick out of looking at this stuff because I'm looking at the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference are the Bucks with 49 wins, probably end up with 50. But then you look at the Western Conference, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seeds 1 through 5 all have at least 50 wins. So I mean, Denver's the number 1 seed. You got number 2 is T-Wolves. Oklahoma City Thunder is number 3. I mean, Clippers number 4. And then, of course, you look at the bottom, and you've got Phoenix versus Sacramento as of right now. Phoenix versus Sacramento for the play-in, 7 versus 8, and then 9 versus 10, of course, is the Lakers versus Golden State. Could change because there's between those two, there's I think a 2.5 game difference, so that might change a little bit. But and Phoenix we're one of the favorites coming into the season because of they got Durant and all that. But go ahead, give me your thoughts on the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's kind of the same way, right? Like a couple years ago, we were looking at LA and Golden State, and they were going to be the 1 and 2 in the West, and now they're playing against each other in the playing game as the 9-10 seed. When it comes to the West here, I think it's a little bit more wide open than the East, but not much more wide open than the East. I think that you could see a run. You could possibly see a run from the Lakers, a small run, but I don't think anybody has the firepower to compete with Denver. Nikola Jokic is just that dude, And I don't think that to me, again, it's a lot like it's Boston and Denver. They're the two best teams. They've been the two best teams. I think they're going to continue to be the two best teams. Oklahoma City's looking decent. And I don't think Minnesota has enough to do it either. I like Karl Anthony Towns and all of them, but I just don't know what you're going to get out of Minnesota. So I'm going to say for me, again, it's just Denver, Boston.
Okay, Devin, how about you? Western Conference thoughts, and then give since it's going to be a few weeks before we start talking about basketball again. So give us your thoughts on the Western Conference, and then who do you think is going to be in the finals?
So first of all, I just looked this up because I was curious. So the Celtics are 0-2 against the Nuggets this year. So it's not. I don't think it's Celtics are the best. You made the comment, Brandon, that Celtics are the best team in the NBA. I don't know if I can definitively agree with that. Like,
really.
I really don't know if I can agree with that because I just don't think they've got anybody to match up against the Joker, which is the problem with every team that plays them, right? It's I don't know. The Nuggets are, once again, the obvious pick, but the one that nobody talks about is the Mavericks. I mean, man, if Luka gets hot, he's Jimmy Buckets, right? It's the same thing. If he goes off, it could be dangerous. They got the Clippers in that first round. I mean, are you really afraid of the Clippers to do much? Not really, right? Like they're kind of the same thing. They just don't ever get there. But T-Wolves.
So you don't think Porzingis or Horford could give problems, or maybe they go the UConn style versus Zach Edey and let Jokic eat and make everybody else beat you?
Yeah, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a great matchup or that Denver is definitively better than Boston. I just think that's another battle in the trenches when those two teams play, right? I didn't look at the scores. One of the games was a 2-point game, so I'm sure it came down to the wire, but I think it's hard to argue Denver's pedigree right now, but like this is the cliche, right? When we stare at playoff brackets, everybody looks at the 1 and the 2 seeds and says like, oh, it's going to be them. And then every year somebody else figures out a way to make a dent in it. So if you want my gut pick right now, I absolutely hate saying this, but it's going to be Nuggets Celtics. And I can't stand saying that, but
yeah,
fight me if you can figure out a different way to make this work. Right.
Okay. James, how about you?
Okay. I agree with Devin in that Denver is probably the best team in the West. However, I do agree it's wide open, and I think that shows just by record disparity. I mean, you got OKC and the Timberwolves right in the mix too, and the number 1 seed isn't even clinched. Like, let's remember that. So we don't know who the road's going through in the West yet. It's most likely going to be Denver, but if the Thunder and Timberwolves have anything to say about it, it could be going through Minnesota or OKC. As far as Golden State and the Lakers go, that should be a fun play-in game. It's right now. It's for the right now. It'll be see who's fighting for the 8th seed. Because we know how the play-in works. I don't think it's necessary anymore, but that's besides the point. And on to Devin's point about the Nuggets. If they were to meet the Celtics in the finals, because I don't like jinxing. I like speaking stuff into existence, but I also don't like jinxing. It's like a weird balanced line I try to float, per se.
Sounds like a Preds fan.
we're like hey, I just don't want to hear the words "to" or "good" or "right" or "now" together when it comes to the Predators. Keep those 4 words as separate as possible. 2017 leaks back. Anyways,
I didn't even say anything.
Catching strays down in Chicago.
It was that Avalanche fan who said it.
Anyway, where. This is why, okay, you're right. Denver did beat the Celtics, the regular season series, even though both of those games were decided within 1 and 3 points. So they were very close games. They weren't domination either way on the spectrum. I will say, with regular season series, I put more stock into the divisional series because those are teams you see regularly. When it comes to interconference series, that's where it gets a little okay. Because in the playoffs, for example, you play a 7-game series against the same opponent until the series is decided. So you have a chance to make adjustments when you feel they're necessary for the next game. Well, in the regular season, you're playing this team, then you got to go and play this team. And like, while you can watch film and make adjustments, it's a lot harder to make adjustments when you're flipping from team to team, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying Denver, didn't deserve the season series. I'm not saying they can't beat the Celtics. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying if those two teams were to meet in the finals, I think there would be a lot of coaching, on both sides. There'd be a lot of like player adjustments. I do think Al Horford and Porzingis can cover Jokic to a point, or you can just be like, hey, Jokic beat us, and let everyone it's like, hey, Jokic, if you're going to beat us, you're going to have to beat us by yourself. So that would be something that would be seen in an actual like best 4 out of 7 when like you're constantly going back and forth from Boston to Denver and constantly playing the same team. Well, with regular season series, you don't really see that because you're not playing the same team every single day. You're going from town to town, different team every 2 days, sometimes back to back, and you don't really get those chance for proper adjustments or film or anything of that nature.
Okay, so now who are you taking for the? Are you taking another Boston versus Denver finals?
He's taking the Predators.
Yes.
in 2017.
In 2017, I'd love to get a time machine. Anyways, but no, I'm going Boston versus Denver.
But okay, all right, Ben, how about you?
Well, I gotta be that guy. It's my role here, right?
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, look,
He's picking the Packers.
no, I'm actually picking a team I hate. I cannot, in good faith, cheer for a team in Minnesota. However, we talked before. You guys talked about it before. Jokic is a focus here right now, but the Wolves with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, they have 2 big guys to go down there and play. And I think that's where I would look to see somebody else have a chance to limit Jokic to make the other players step up. Look, logic says Nuggets, Celtics, but I want to be that guy. So Wolves, Celtics for the championship this year.
Okay, all right.
He's like,
Well,
screw it. We're going Bulls versus Lakers. Just
go.
because. Just because.
Because of
Why not?
Larry Bird and Magic Johnson stuff, right? So
yeah, exactly. All right, so let's we're gonna touch real quick because I know Brandon and Ben both have to get out of here pretty quick. Let's touch on the Masters, and then if you guys still have time, I want to do our I want to get your take on the question of the day that I threw out there in the group. So
Sure.
Masters, we got and again, it was suspended due to darkness, so a couple notables. Tiger was 1 under, and he was, I believe, through 13, and then play was suspended. But right now we've got DeChambeau at 7 under, leading, and then Scheffler at 6 under in second place, and I gotta plead ignorance here on this name, the Hogard, I think maybe Nikolai Hogard at 5 under for third place. So, and I know Devin, I know you. I don't know the rest of you if you're big golf fans. Devin, you're a golfer. You're a golf fan. You're a Tiger fan. I know just from our conversations in the past. What have you watched? Did you get a chance to see any of it today or not?
Bits and pieces of it. Really just this. There's not a lot to talk about with the Masters at this point.
Yeah,
right? We're only a few steps into it, but man, if you guys watched any of the stuff on the par 3 competition yesterday, there were some really cool clips. If anybody saw Bubba Watson's kids sinking 30 footers,
Yes.
that was incredible. He had his daughter Dakota Watson out there out of the green. She was caddying for him. It's a pretty routine tradition for kids to caddy during the par 3 contest on Wednesdays. And she sunk like 3 30-foot putts, and the crowd just erupted. And there's not a ton to talk about the play itself right now, but man, just the whole event itself is awesome. The Masters is a classic event. It's no phones allowed. There's people with like spin up, like old school developed cameras that are out there. Like it's just such a time capsule for this sport. I'm a big Tiger guy. There's no chance he competes at the top for this. It's cool to see him out there, but it's all nostalgia at this point.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the par 3 contest was just awesome. There's some really cool clips coming out of there.
Nice. James, how about you? Are you a golfer or a golf fan or anything or not?
I'm not a golf fan. I have nothing to say for this.
That's right. You know what? My bad, because I think you actually told me that earlier, and I totally forgot. Okay, Ben, how about you? You have any thoughts on day one or on the par 3 or anything like that so far?
No, the par 3 is great. As a dad, you gotta love it, right? That's the dream. It's beautiful. Hooray, hooray! Back to the game. Look, 7 under in any round at the Masters, you're doing pretty well. Just call it what it is, and that's where I look here to say, can he care at the weekend? That's the hard thing to do, especially at the Masters. So, no, I feel like there's a bunch of guys who are due. So I don't really know who to pick here, but I'll go with Zalatoris for a random late weekend run to take this year's Masters.
Ooh.
Okay. Brandon, how about you?
Oh yeah, no, I love golf. I was watching it all day while we were at the media school today and doing some of the stuff at the station. Bryson DeChambeau surprised me. He's one of those guys. So I'm in a 4-player pool where you pick a previous champion, you pick an American-born player, an international player, and then a wild card player. And I struggled. I almost went DeChambeau, but then I ended up changing my wild card over to Brooks Koepka, which was stupid. But you know, DeChambeau is just one of those guys who sometimes in big moments he tends to wilt a little bit. I will say in this, Scotty Scheffler is on a completely different level than everybody else. He is like the new Tiger Woods. Like, he is that dominant. He is that good. Scotty Scheffler is that guy. Would not be surprised to see him start to run away with this thing at all. But there are some guys that are coming up that I really do like it. And one of them, don't sleep on Joaquin Niemann. I know he only shot 2 under today. Joaquin Niemann is a stud over on the Live Tour. He was actually my the guy that I picked for my international player was Joaquin Niemann. I feel like he has a chance to win this thing. He is one of those sneaky plays. He is very good. He makes adjustments day to day. So just because, you know, the 2 under tied for 9th, he's one of those guys that is going to play through the weekend. He's going to be there. He's going to finish probably top 5, top 6. And he could compete to win this thing if Scotty Scheffler allows anybody to stay close to him.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, as we're getting ready to wrap up the show, I put out a question today in the group based on a question that actually came up in a Milwaukee sports show that I was listening to on Tuesday. And they asked the question, and I had to pass it on to our group because I thought it was a great question. And by the way, I believe it was the Mike Heller show. I want to try to give credit to the shows as I'm not like stealing questions or anything like that. But the question was, is there a team, college, pro, could be high school if you're in Texas and you know how big high school football is down there, whatever, a certain team whose gear you will under no circumstances wear? And I do want to take, because a few people in the group made this point, and I guess I didn't even really think of it. They said, look, money talks. There's no team who, you know, if the money's right, I'll wear any jersey. Let's take money out of it. Let's say, you know, you have a daughter or a son and they bring somebody, you know, home to meet mom and dad, and they say, oh, this person, you know, works for team X, you know, and they want to take us to a game, get us tickets, but you have to wear that team's jersey. Do you swallow your pride and do it for your kids, or like what team?
I will disown my kid.
It's kind of what I was thinking of. So Brandon, let's start with you. Is there a team that you absolutely like?
Hell yeah.
Absolutely no, I would not wear that.
There's a team in like every sport that first, I will never, ever, 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 ever in a billion years be caught in a St. Louis Cardinals jersey, anything St. Louis Cardinals. Yeah. And if one of my kids came home in a St. Louis Cardinals jersey, they'd be disowned. They would be disowned. If my wife had been a Cardinals fan, she wouldn't be my wife. She would have never been my girlfriend. I can't. There is no with the Cardinals. Green Bay Packers. I'd be caught dead in anything Green Bay Packers. You ain't get me to do anything with the Green Bay Packers. In hockey, to hell with the damn Nashville Predators. I don't care 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. I don't care what year it is. Screw the damn Nashville Predators. I'll be caught dead before I'm wearing any of that yellow and gray and can't figure out what color scheme we want to go with. Nashville Predators can't even allow other teams fans to come into the stadium because we want to have more of our fans come in, even though nobody ever comes in because nobody wants to see hockey in Nashville.
Hey, Bridgestone Arena is electric. Okay, I don't want to hear
it. And you'll never catch me wearing a Lakers jersey ever.
Okay.
If I get a Kobe Bryant jersey, it'll be a Mamba jersey. It'll never be a Laker jersey.
Okay, Devin, how are you?
This is really easy, and you couldn't put a purple jersey within 100 feet of my front door without me burning it. There is no chance, and I will go even one step further. If one of my kids shows up with a purple jersey and there's a 4 on it,
you're still burning it?
I might just absolutely. I'd probably dump more gas on it if it had a 4 on that jersey. Yeah, I can't I can't say I would ever even look at a Minnesota Vikings jersey. So that's a no-go. And as a hockey fan, my two teams, it's Minnesota, man. I cannot stand the Wild either. I will my favorite story about them, real quick on this one, is a handful of years ago, my buddy and I used to go to every year, once a year, we'd go to an Avs Wild game in Xcel Energy, right? And this was when the Avs back in like 2018, 2019 were god awful. They were one of the worst teams in the league. They were in a full-blown rebuild. And the Avs the Wild had a 3-1 lead late in the game. The Avs came back to win it. When they tied the game with like 3 minutes left, I stood up, decked out in Avs gear, and I cheered as loud as I could. And I looked around the stadium and I counted 5 Avalanche fans in that whole building. And I thought I was going to get run out of town. And man, I felt like a king. So Minnesota Wild and Minnesota Vikings, absolutely not. And I am dangerously close to saying the St. Louis Blues too, because God, I hate Binnington.
Okay.
I like that answer.
Ben, how about you?
You know, I would never wear a Viking jersey either. That's one I can't do. I'm for friends. There's not much I won't do. If I'm being very honest, I've wore some weird stuff. Even offered to wear a Bears jersey one time if I had to, but I will not wear a Viking jersey. You could not paint an Alabama jersey on me, or Ohio State for that matter. Yankees hats. That's a no. Just no. It's not welcome here. So yeah, you know, that's probably it. If I'm really being honest, I mean, baseball, it's just the Yankees. The Dodgers are a close second for me, though.
The Cardinals?
No Cubbies?
Look, truth be told, there's pictures of me in Cubs gear. That's not new information. When I was a kid, I cheered for the Brewers and the Cubs. But
Of course you did.
Hey, you know who else is wearing Cubs gear now? Craig Counsell. Got him.
Okay. James, how about you?
Okay, well, let me say this. First off, as a Preds fan, I'll bring that up first and I'll bring in the gear. The feeling is mutual, Mr. Brandon, because if you ever see me donning the red with that Blackhawk logo, that means that I am in distress and I need to be saved, like, right
it's
now.
It's iconic, baby. Iconic. You put some respect. You put some respect on that Indian head, baby.
It's one of the sickest logos in all of sports. I will say that.
No, so, yeah, you're not going to catch me wearing a Blackhawks jersey. In football, as a Saints fan, yeah, I'm not touching a Falcons jersey ever. I was somewhat thinking of Minnesota as well, but frankly, I don't really care about Minnesota. It's really Minnesota fans that cry whenever the Saints are brought up. It's like they've beat us twice in the playoffs since then, and they still can't get us out of their heads.
Bro, would you pick a region to root for? My man is a Boston Celtics fan, a New Orleans Saints fan, a Nashville Predator fan. What the hell? What are you, a Laker fan too?
No, I hate the Lakers, which was going to be my point in basketball.
Wait, didn't you? Where was your WNBA team from too? That one's out of nowhere as well.
Connecticut.
Who's your baseball team? The Dodgers?
No, the Boston Red Sox, actually.
Oh boy.
Leave my fan bases alone. Okay.
Fan bases. You got like a fan country.
Yeah, he's got a continent going on over there.
American man, leave him alone.
I also watch Canadian football. I like the Edmonton Elks. I can go on about this.
So I got to ask you, how is ESPN 8 The Ocho treating you these days? Pretty good. So,
My word.
Who
Oh, yeah,
gets
that's
full
right.
maximization, full value for that ESPN Plus membership?
Yeah.
They get their money's worth out of me.
My man does
Yeah,
not have
also-
any blackout restrictions.
In all fairness, I live in Tennessee, so I'm allowed to root for the Predators. Jesus Christ.
All right.
You got 1 out of 8. We're good.
Okay, well, I'll throw mine out here too, because I didn't actually comment on the post because I wanted to share it here at the show. So, real quick, I got college basketball. Duke will not ever wear a Duke uniform. College football, Notre Dame and Ohio State. Can't stand Notre Dame. I've never liked Notre Dame. Ohio State's more like just maybe the last, I don't know, 5-10 years that I've really grown to hate them. What is he? Oh, God Almighty, Brandon! You know what? What's funny, Brandon? I'm thinking about right now. There are times when
Is that Manti Te'o's girlfriend's signature?
No. She's actually the one wearing the helmet. You just can't see her. That's actually that's Ian Book's signature, actually.
Nice. Anyway, okay. So baseball, it's really only the St. Louis Cardinals. I actually would wear, if I lost a bet or something, I'd probably wear a Cubs jersey or hat, but St. Louis Cardinals, I can't stand. Basketball, NBA, I really don't have. Obviously, I'm not as big of an NHL fan as all you guys are, so I don't really have one anywhere there. But then for the NFL, it would be honestly probably just the Vikings. Again, if I lost a bet, I'd probably put on a Bears jersey if I had to, like something like that. But
yeah, you would.
But
would.
Well, I haven't had to lose a bet with the Bears in a while here, so I'm not.
You're
I'm not
about
really,
to this season.
and
You and Big
it's
Ben are
all-
both coming on
yeah.
Windy City Sports Talk in some Bears gear, baby.
Oh, you
So
keep
is
dreaming that. You keep dreaming, especially
the
if you
opposite
get-
offered then when we beat you guys again, you're coming on here with Packer gear?
What's
Does
this
that
we?
happen?
So you guys talk we.
He's
Man,
got
when was the
100
last time you played
we
for the
own it.
Packers?
There's a
We don't-
sheet on my wall that I paid $100 for that allows me to say "we," man.
Let me tell you, the last
Fair.
time I actually played sports seriously was when that poster got hung up on my wall. I played soccer in high school, and our little cheerleading group made all the seniors something. I still have that, amazingly. That's the last time I actually played sports seriously.
Yeah. Well, and in Green Bay we do take it seriously because it's all we got really here. It's the Packers, and then it's a casino and a bunch of factories. So I won't go into that too much.
Yeah, there's nothing in Wisconsin. You don't want to go anywhere into Wisconsin.
Oh,
ever.
stop.
Ever.
Says the one from Chicago.
Unless you want
Exactly.
unless you have a craving for some cheese curds, or you want to go catch the Cubs play the Brewers.
It's better than murder.
That was direct.
I will say, I live in Nashville. I live in Nashville, and I don't see myself going up to Wisconsin for a vacation. Mostly because it's cold, and I hate the cold with a passion.
Nobody goes to Wisconsin for vacation.
Not
Okay,
true.
whoa.
Whoa. Half of your state is north of our Highway 29, so half your state bought our state. So you can tell me again that nobody comes to Wisconsin from Illinois.
I was gonna say we see an awful lot of Illinois plates during the summertime going up to Door County for the weekend. So yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
Oakland
I
used to
mean,
be up there, but
they,
anyway.
they have to take
You
a
are
shit
not going
somewhere.
to Spring break, guys. Peoria. No one's going to Peoria.
Isn't
Big fans of champagne, huh?
Richard
Like,
Pryor from
I mean-
Peoria, Illinois? I can't say that.
Come see the Ivy at Wrigley. Plenty of people come and do that.
Hey, trust me, you don't want to be a tourist town because when you're a tourist town, you get bachelorette parties downtown, and then you have to look at them, walk around downtown, and you
You gotta
hate
watch
them.
out for you gotta watch out for
that
flying
sounds
chairs.
terrible.
Yeah, oh,
You
no.
gotta watch out for
Whoa.
chairs flying off of the sixth floor of a rooftop bar. So
Yeah, you
all
got
right,
Morgan
let's-
Wallen throwing chairs off the
Yeah.
roof. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, hold on here. We got to put Shannon since we're all equivalent the summer in Tennessee with the amount of sports and tourism.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh.
What's going on, Shanna?
Thanks for watching, Shanna. All right. Yeah, let's wrap it up here. Ben, what do you got going on this weekend? Anything special?
Well, my daughter turned 12 today, so she's got her birthday party this weekend.
Happy birthday.
Supervise that.
Now is that a sleepover or what is she doing? Just a party?
Yeah, camping theme. So dad is on burger and brat detail and campfire detail, so the girls can roast their marshmallows when they want to. So
how many 12-year-old girls you got running around there?
I think it's gonna be 7.
Oh, good God.
So yeah,
God bless you.
Oh, look, it's gonna be. I will escape where I got to escape to. Put the headphones on and zone out, hopefully. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Okay. James, how about you? Anything big planned over the weekend?
Not necessarily. I got to work this weekend. See, during the week, I work at the Titan Stadium. So if you ever see me on my page wearing Titans gear, that is why, because I work there. And so by some length, I have to wear their logo sometimes. It's a running joke in like my friends group because they know I'm a Saints fan. And whenever I have to take a picture in Titans gear, they're like, "Ha, he's converted." No, I'm not, jackass.
Okay, Devin, how about you?
My wife and I are heading down to AmFam Field Saturday for the Luke Combs concert.
Oh, nice.
So looking forward to being out there for something other than a Brewer game once in a while. So
yeah,
should be a good time. And then Sunday will most likely be a recovery day.
Now, you guys, have you been to Luke Combs? I mean, I know you guys go to concerts a lot, but have you been to Luke Combs yet?
We have not. No, we missed him when he came to the Rush, but up in Green Bay. But no, we're excited to go down there. It should be a good time.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool. All right, Brandon, how about you?
No, I mean, I'm working Ultimate Autographs this weekend. So if anybody wants to, check out the show noon and 3 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'll be over there giving away some autograph memorabilia, and then UFC 300 on Saturday night, man. Going to be a blast. I can't wait. I don't know if any of you guys are UFC fans. I love UFC. And UFC 300 is, I mean, just stacked. The card is ridiculous. So I can't wait for that on Saturday night. But
cool. All right. Well, I'll let everyone go, and everyone have a great weekend. Enjoy. If you're a golf fan, enjoy the Masters. I'm actually going to be going with up to Door County on Sunday for the day because my birthday is next Wednesday, but my daughter's birthday is the following Saturday. So this weekend we're celebrating my birthday, and then the following weekend is all about her. So we're going up to, I don't know if you guys have ever done foot golf. Have any of you done this?
Yeah, they drive me nuts on an actual golf course, but
right.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's that. See, this is the first time I've ever heard of it. So a real quick story, and then we'll get out of here. But there's a guy that used to be actually, I think, either a movie producer or something out in LA, but he's originally from Wisconsin, and he and his wife with their family bought a home in Door County so that he could retire and everything. And he bought a golf course up in Door County called Stonehenge Golf Course. And it's got like a 9-hole regular golf course. It's got the a clubhouse with a restaurant, restaurant, and all that. And then apparently it's got an 18-hole foot golf course. I never even heard of it. But I'm like, you know what? I suck at regular golf. My wife hates regular golf. And of course, my kids aren't, they've never golfed before. But I'm like, you know what? We need some exercise. It's supposed to be like 71 and sunny all day on Sunday. I said, let's go up there and try foot golf. So maybe
I'm terrible at golf too, so don't feel bad. I shot a 72 one time. It was on a 9-hole par 3 course.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well,
so
you know what?
That's
you say that, Brandon, but that's pretty much me too. And that's like for 9 holes, someone says, "Oh, I'll shoot a 62," and it's like, yeah, that's for 9. It's not for.
Well, real quick before I get out of here, hey James, fuck the Predators. 2017 didn't exist.
Mike dropping out.
Fun. Classic Blackhawks fans behavior.
Yeah, see, and that's the equivalent of telling someone to F off on Messenger and then blocking them right away before they can even respond. I mean, that's what that is. That's Bush League, Brandon. Bush League. Okay. All right, everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you back next week, next Thursday, same time, same place, and we'll be doing our live mock draft. So anyone who's interested, hit us up in the Dads of Bacon group if you want to come on and give your pick for your favorite team. So everyone else, thanks guys. Devin, James, thanks for coming on. Ben, as always, thank you, and we'll see you guys next week.
You guys.
See ya.
Yeah.